I'm giving you 5 powerful questions to help you position the most confident version of yourself when dating. These are the same questions that helped prepare me when I was young and getting into the dating world. In this video, you're going to learn the exact questions you need to ask yourself before you enter into a new relationship. I know as a high value woman, you are at that stage of your life where you want to get back into the dating world and attract a high value man. But before you rush into that process, you need to ask yourself certain questions that will not only equip you to project the best version of yourself, but will also help you understand and identify who to invest in and who to take a step away from. Number 1, do I know what I need in a partner? Now, years ago, someone asked me this same question when I was young and in the dating world. Do you know what you want in a partner, and do you know what you need in a partner? It was a bit confusing for me because I wondered, what are you talking about? I know what I want, I know what I need. We are both the same question. Apparently, what you want and what you need is not the same thing. What you want is the superficial things, the immediate thing, the short-term version of the things that you desire, your fantasies and the things that you admire in a person. What you need in a partner is something that you need to take your time to learn, to master, to understand. Because a lot of times, we do not see clearly what we need unless you have been through life. Unless you have adults around you who can share wisdom, lessons, and understanding for you to realize that what you want is quite different from what you need. You might want a tall, dark, and handsome man, but what you need is a man who is responsible enough to take care of you, to understand you, to protect you when you need it the most. Being tall, dark, and handsome is a superficial thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying overlook the looks. I'm not saying don't look at the beauty. I am only saying that in the process of looking at his physical looks, you want to look deep down into what you truly need in a partner. You need someone who is understanding. You need someone who knows how to take responsibility, whether you have asked for it or not. Now, every woman has their choice of what they want or what they need in a partner, but it's your responsibility to identify what you need. Number 2, have I healed and detached from my previous relationship enough for me to trust? This is a powerful question because this not only takes you back to the previous relationships that you have had, but it brings to question what those relationships were like and what it left with you. If you had a broken relationship, if you had a bad relationship in the past, some area of that relationship that hurt you, that affected your self-esteem, or it to distort the way you project yourself out there is very high. So it's important that you have healed from it. It's important for you to heal and detach from a previous relationship that didn't work out well, because if you do not work on yourself, you're going to attract the same kind of relationship you just ran away from. Healing from a previous relationship that didn't work will empower you. It makes you see clearly. It helps you to project a more secured and confident version of yourself. When you don't heal from a previous relationship, do you know what happens? You project insecurity. And when a man sees that you are insecure, the low-value men amongst them will take advantage of that. Remember, they don't write high value and low value on the forehead. So you can't tell who is high value or who is low value unless you interact with them. But when you are healed, you can quickly identify who a low value man is, who a high value man is, who a time waster is, and who an investment will be. Number 3, have I identified what my non-negotiable exits are? This is something that every high value woman should learn how to do. The moment you start getting into a relationship, understand what your standards and boundaries are, and understand what your non-negotiable exits are. People, they're willing to stay in a relationship of abuse, of all sorts of negativity, and it hasn't hit the limit. But when you are in a relationship and when you know what your non-negotiables are, and you find yourself in a relationship that is either toxic or abusive, you know that this has gotten to a height and that I will no longer tolerate. If you stay in a relationship that you tolerate abuse, the tendency for you to ruin your confidence, ruin your self-esteem, ruin your self-worth is very high. And that's because you do not have a non-negotiable exit. You don't have standards. So when you say to yourself, this is a limit of what I can tolerate in a relationship. And let me be very frank. I'm not saying set unrealistic expectations. I'm not saying set unrealistic standards. I'm saying know what your worth and values are. Be able to identify when you're in a relationship that is crossing that line, that is crossing that boundary. When you find yourself in a relationship that doesn't make you feel safe or doesn't make you feel seen, ask yourself, what am I doing here? So many ladies are sticking to a relationship because they've invested time, they've invested money, they've invested resources, and all of that. And then you continue to indulge in activities that goes against the will of God in your life, that goes against the standards and values that you have for yourself. You stay in relationship that diminish you, devalues you, because you feel, oh, I don't want to be termed single. How about you save your sanity? How about you identify what your core values are and say, this relationship is shrinking me. You should be in a relationship that makes you feel confident, make you feel proud. So those are how you identify what your non-negotiables are. 4, am I a reflection of what I think I want? You know, a lot of times as women, you can tell yourself that you want a man in finance, 6'5", blue eyes, you know, and all these criterias, and you list these criterias as things that you want of a man. It's okay to have your criteria. It's okay to have the list of things that you check out as the things you want from a man, or want from a man. But I want you to ask yourself, are you a reflection of what you want? I mean, if you want a man to be all of these things, are you these things? You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. So if you want a high value man, you need to start to work on yourself to become a high value woman as well. You need to work on yourself to be almost at that level as well. So you might not be a lady in finance, but you're a lady in your own career, your own business field, and you are doing good. You might not be a lady who is 6'5", but you might be 5'2" and be the most gorgeous lady that you are. So when you want something of someone, I want you to work on that thing as well of yourself. Because when you have an expectation from someone, you also need to make sure that you are matching up to where that person would most likely want. A high value man has his criteria as well. He has the things he wants out of a woman, and he expects that as you have your own criteria of him, you are meeting up to his own criteria as well. Number 5, what are my love languages? As a high value woman, it's important that you understand what your love language is. Know what you want. Know how you want your man to communicate his love and affection with you. They say it is how you treat yourself that others will treat you. If you want a man to treat you in a certain way, you have to be able to understand what those things are to you. You also must be able to have treated yourself in the same way, and then you show the man how to treat you that way. So if your love language is gift giving or gifting, if your love language is touch, the power of touch, then you also must be able to communicate that with him. You also, and there are different ways you communicate that with him. You don't just communicate it by telling him that this is my love language. You communicate that with him by showing him not only how you treat yourself, but when you both are together, you can learn how to communicate that by moving his action towards that. So if you want him to start giving you gifts, then you show that as well, because it's that process that you also learn what his own love language is. And when the both of you understand each other's love language, your communication is in sync. You're connecting with each other. These 5 questions not only empowers you to build confidence in yourself when you are getting into the dating world, but it helps you to project a very elegant and a queenly version of you, because you no longer tolerate anything. You no longer settle for less. You know what you want, and you start to attract that for yourself. Now that you know the questions to ask yourself before dating, this next video is something you want to watch, because it gives you the secret to build instant dating confidence.